This is Naija Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest today is Mr. Oladimaji Fabiyi, Deputy National Financial Secretary of the African Democratic Congress. Mr. Dimeji, you're welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much for bringing me. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome. Okay, let's get right into our conversation. Over the weekend, there was a summit of opposition political parties that held at Ibadan, I think the government house in Ibadan. And it's, fallout from that meeting, have been reverberating all over both conventional media and social media, and all of that. Give us a sense of it. Just give us a general summary. What led to that summit, the outcomes, and just a general overview for the benefit of listeners and viewers.
Okay, thank you very much once again, and thank you all viewers. What you saw in Ibadan could be regarded as a convergence of excellence, a convergence to rescue this country. It came up as a result of extensive consultation, deliberation. The idea behind this is because the leadership of the coalition felt there is need for these concrete alliances among the opposition elements, a kind of the repeat of what we had in 2014, where some political parties were led into that alliances, to challenge the then PDP ruling government. And for me, I've always told anyone who cares to listen that I will continue to respect the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, for a few things. One, his foresight, the vision, his leadership skills, his ability to see beyond where others are seeing, and that is experience. So for those who are saying he's not providing leadership, no, that's not true. He has provided leadership, and he has been providing leadership, and he's still providing it. Now, let me defend what I just said. You recall in 2023, immediately after the election, when the party PDP lost at the Supreme Court. A few months after, Atiku met the leadership of the party then, under acting national chairman, Oladimaji, and said, gentlemen, where we are now, it is obvious that the way this guy, because I know the current president, is not a Democrat. He's going to put all sorts of obstacles on the way of the opposition. But the only way we can push him, because he's not going to deliver anything good for Nigerians, I know that. So the only thing we can do as a party is for the PDP as the main opposition as it were then, to rally, to rein in all other opposition elements, individually and parties alike, so that we can provide a formidable force to push this Tinubu out after the first 4 years. They all left. Alas, the following day, the National Public Secretary of the party then, Ologunagba, was on national TV to say, PDP is not going to...
Mr. Debo
Ologunagba. We are not going to do it. Party is not interested in any merger, is not interested in coalition. And His Excellency kept, he was just looking at them. So my happiness is that what he saw then is now coming back to happen now. That is the power of a vision of a leader who knows his onions, who knows what is at stake. So I commend him for that. So my happiness is that today, after consultation, everybody has now come to the agreement that we need to do this. Except few ones like Showore said you cannot be part of your team. So, and then it's his choice. So for me, I think because more are still going to join. So for me, what you saw in Ibadan was as a result of that consultation that we needed to come together. And you could see far-reaching decisions they took, like having a single presidential candidate, sending message to INEC. The INEC, no more confidence in the INEC chairman. National Assembly should review the electoral law, because in actual fact, we cannot have a good relation with this electoral law. And they made it abundantly clear And statements after statements in terms of the failure of the economy, the problem of our electoral system, and so on and so on and so forth. So it was a huge success. But I would like to thank the host, the host of the event, which is the governor of Oyo State. At least he has done that. He has done well, and I'm happy that he realizes on time before it's too late for everybody. So Nigerians should please give them a chance. They have come with what can actually elevate and advance the cause of this country for the good.
Okay, thank you for your opening remarks. You made allusion to 2014, when some political parties, CPC, ACN, All Progressives, I can't remember now.
It was ACN, then APGA, APP.
APP, exactly. And then
faction
CPC,
of APGA, then the faction of PDP.
They all they merged. It was a merger to form the All Progressives Congress.
Yes.
The new PDP also joined them. A fraction of the PDP then joined them. Yes. So it was a merger. What happened in Oyo State could be likened to an alliance. In management, there is what we call mergers and alliances. So this one is an alliance. Correct me if I'm wrong, because those other parties are not dissolving to form one party.
I think it depends on the definition anybody wants to give it. If you call it an alliance, at least alliance is come together of some people. Yeah. If you say it's coalition, it still boils down to coming together of either a group of individual or group of people. So a group. So that is it's the same thing. What is important is the purpose. It's the objective they want to achieve, and the objective is to rescue this country from the failed leadership of President Tinubu.
And this actually is more like 1999, if I'm not mistaken, when the APP then and the AD then jointly produced a
single candidate.
A single candidate.
Yes.
So what is going on now with this ADC and others in Ibadan is more, like what happened in 1999. Yeah. But beyond that,
we have more now. Like we have the NNPP joining.
Of course, there are more political parties, definitely.
We have this new party, the DLA. We saw the national chairman joining the Democratic Leadership Alliance. Yes. One young man like that, the chairman, was there.
What of the NDP? What of the SDP? NDP, SDP?
I think invitation has been extended to them. Okay. And, but, at that time, SDP has not really, it was just a few days ago that they got court order to now decide who is truly the leadership. And they just recognize Shehu Gabam now, the court as the authentic leader, chairman of the party. I guess that's why they were not there.
Okay. Now, let me ask you frontally, because you alluded to it also in your opening remarks. So are you saying this Ibadan Summit idea was largely due to that of, was largely the brainchild of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar?
Well, really, from the onset, he has been the champion of all of these things. He convinced many people. When his own party at that time, PDP, was becoming sluggish and all that, and he knew there was no time. And for him, it's about the country. It's not about himself. So he needs to reach out, talk to people, and that was what brought all of this thing together. The likes of Malam El-Rufai played a very key role in all of this. The Honorable Kumalia, Governor Tambua, Lia Limoke, Emeka Wajuba, all of them, Emeka Ihedioha, all of these guys played a very key role. Mr. Dr. Lukman of NOM, all of them played vital role, even Babachir Lawal, all of them. So the former vice president has to rein all of these people because he understands that he cannot do it alone. He needs all of this. It took Mr. Peter Obi a long time to be able to make up his mind, but finally he's here today. And I'm so happy because there's something I'm expecting him to do that I've not heard from him, and that's the fact that a few days ago, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar said, whoever emerges as the candidate of the party, I will work with the person. Amechi came out and said the same thing, either through consensus or by direct primaries. But I'm still waiting for Mr. Peter Obi to come out and tell us his own commitment. These guys have shown commitment. He should tell us too, his own commitment.
Okay, moving on. Governor Makinde, the host of this Ibadan Summit, reminded the APC, the ruling party and the government, of the sad incidents in 1965, that led to killings, because of political instability, pretty much what is replaying now before our eyes, where a party at the central, will be trying to dictate affairs in states, manipulate elections in states, shut out opposition, parties and all of that. And it more or less reminded everybody that this was our operation, that situation was called Operation Wait Here. What's your take on this?
Well, thank you very much. It's quite unfortunate that the ruling government is playing politics with reality. I'm a Muslim, and there's something Quran is very huge on. And Quran regarded or referred to human being as forgetful, that we are forgetful. Human beings can forget. Therefore, human beings are forgetful. There's a place in Quran where the Quran describes human beings as forgetful. We forget things easily. And there's something called institutional memories. Some people, yes, they have it, but they feign it because they want to achieve, and they are aiming at an end. Why I'm saying this is because where it was in 1965, and there were things that went wrong politically that brought about where it here. And Governor Makinde has not spoken out of order. As far as I am concerned, he has not breached any national security as they are trying to make it look. And I think they are doing that because he jolted them. They didn't expect that. They didn't see that coming. What Governor Makinde has simply done, he's not my friend though, but what he has done, I have to give it to him that what he has done was just to tell them the consequences of this action of the ruling government. We don't have we've never had history of one-party states in Nigeria, and we will not have it now. And APC government is huge on that. On daily basis, their character, their action, their attitude, their spoken words, both unspoken words, speaks to the fact that they want to railroad Nigerians into that. And Governor Makinde was telling them that, no, this is going to backfire. He didn't say, go and bring gun and start war tomorrow, he was not even calling for revolution, whether bad or good. He only said, be aware of what may likely be the consequences of this action. It was a warning that he was given. So now let's take it beyond that. In history, what the APC government is doing now was what killed First, Second, and Third Republic. You will recall that the MPC was controlling the entire Northern Hemisphere, political space. The moment they moved into the South, that they wanted to harness the entire South to what they had, what happened? That the Republic went down. The same thing when MPN was controlling almost about 12 or 13 states or thereabout. The moment they moved, they wanted to take over South. That was what killed that republic. Even just recently, PDP was controlling about 19 states, but they got to 20 states. When they now said they wanted to go into, that was what killed that time, that party. And exactly what APC is doing. It goes beyond an implosion. It's about the mind of the people, the thinking, the perspective the people are now giving, that what you are not even doing well. Even if you are doing well, we would have accepted. I would have said, okay, let's manage it. The government, APC is not doing well. They are so reckless with them. They do everything with reckless abandon. They don't take Nigeria seriously anymore. They believe it's just about them few people managing the affairs of the country. And in that case, they don't even have the experience.
So you don't see anything essentially wrong in what Governor Makinde did?
Makinde has done no wrong. It was only, he said it in the interest of this country. We cannot afford a country in crisis. We are already battling with the economy, we are battling with insecurity, we are battling with unemployment due to the failure and lack of experience of Tinubu's government, and you want to turn us into crisis again because of our own ambition. And that's what takes me to what people are saying, because people have always been asking, what is ADC going to do differently? This is one of them. We are not going to tamper with the Constitution of Nigeria or Electoral Act to suit individual interests. That's what they are doing. And by the grace of God, we are going to bridge the widening gap between the poor and the rich, because we are going to protect the rich and empower the poor. We are going to bring back the image, the battered image of this country, bring it back and hand this country over back to the people that want, which is Nigerian people. And we are not going to do this kind of subsidy that is putting our people in hardship, in hunger. We are going to have a targeted subsidy that is going to take care of the hungers, the welfare of the people. These are some of the things we are going to do differently, not what they have done. We are not going to hoodwink the judiciary or the INEC or the National Assembly to make them work for the people, because this is what is lacking in the government of Tinubu.
Dimeji, many listening to you will say, all you politicians are the same.
We are not the same.
Just hold on.
We are not the same.
Just hold on. The talk is cheap. You all say the same
This
thing.
one is not cheap.
When you get there, it's a different ballgame.
What promises the APC made and they are fulfilled?
Let's focus on the issue on ground, which is the statement Makinde made. Some have actually said, because I've read and I've watched a lot since Saturday, many have outrightly condemned the ruling party and some of the members of the government of the APC. You know why? They are calling them hypocrites. You know why? Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the essay to the president on media and publicity, they brought back the video he made in the run-up to 2023 elections, where he said Igbos should never attempt what they did in all of those, that they should. Some very terrible comments, disparaging comments he made about Igbos I would not like to repeat.
Okay, I'm happy that you even took me, because I was saving the best for the last. But it's good that you have brought me here, because these are some of the things I wanted to tell you that, see, even in 2014, there was nothing the APC, the opposition then didn't say to Jonathan. There was no threat they didn't give. If you do this, we are good. So, and you just mentioned a couple of them now. So what is the difference? All those things they did were capable of, were more even national security breach than what because Makinde was only just warning us that we should be careful. We should be careful with what we want to do. You cannot, the moment there's no virile opposition in democracy, there's no more democracy. Democracy came with so many quality rights. In rights to associate, freedom, they are quality rights. The moment you try to kill them, you have killed democracy. That is the implication of what Makinde was saying. I'm not holding, but that is my interpretation of it. So they have committed more national security breaches in the past than what is, because it suits them because they are there now and they don't want that. They are so. I've never seen an intolerant government like the government of Tinubu. Now, I heard they are even going to clamp down on you guys, media, very soon. They're already issuing some things to clamp down. If you go to any studio and say something, they'll clamp them down. We are waiting to see how that is going to happen in a democracy.
Well, the Constitution guarantees what we do in the media space, except we say we're no longer operating the Constitution.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Now, one of the decisions taken at the Ibadan Summit was that the coalition will field a single ticket.
Yes.
A single ticket. That's brilliant. That was a master stroke. I must give it to whoever came up with that idea. But then you have heavyweights with big ambitions. Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Peter Obi, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, Kwakwanso, Alhaji Rabiu Kwakwanso, and a few others in that group who would be aspiring for the ticket. So, how does this work? What's the modus operandi? Who's going to midwife this? And how do you manage these oversized egos? Dimeji.
Let me tell you something, every political party has guidelines, process,
yes,
with which they conduct their affairs. And thank God for the judgment of the Supreme Court that said, whatever you do internally is purely your affairs. I have no doubt that the party has leadership, and the leadership are competent, the leadership are forthright, the leadership of the ADC today are disciplined. And whatever is the procedure or the criteria that will be set out to either by consensus get the candidate or even direct primaries get the candidate, they are going to stick with it. The current leadership does not care. They don't even see these aspirants. They are not even looking at them. And that was what we take, this last Congress, that was what I took a cue from and did in Ogun State. And we had a perfect Congress because David Mark is not running for president. Aregbesola is not running for president. So they have the duty to reset the order, to follow the guidelines laid down by the party's constitution strictly. There are regulations on how do we conduct the primaries. There are regulations from the Electoral Act and from the party's constitution. The moment they follow this one, there's no videos. Anybody who cannot fall in line should fall out. It's as simple as that. Yes.
So in essence, are you acknowledging that a decision has been made on the modus operandi? Is it going to be consensus?
No, the party will come up with that.
The
party will come up with that in the next couple of days because with this, we are asking that this the timetable should be reviewed by INEC and shift for another 30 or 45 days from the May 30 deadline. I think if they're able to do that, it gives us more room to be able to. Initially, the railroad INEC into doing all of this, I mean the APC, so that they can, like when you want to steal, when you want to hit hot pepper soup without letting your friend know, that's what they do. You just do before, that's what they were trying to do. And they are being clever. If you are a good dribbler, at some point you dribble yourself. They've dribbled themselves into all of this, into this corner. And I will see how they want to come out of it.
Okay, you said you've asked INEC to give you an extension of time.
Yeah, it was part of the demand at the Ibadan Summit that it has to be reviewed. It has to be the date has to be reviewed, and the Electoral Law Act itself has to be reviewed, because how can an electoral law allow people to print their own ballot paper? Where do you find that all over the world?
Okay, before we even come to the issue of the electoral law and all of that, INEC said they're not taking, under Professor Mukutan said they're not taking any correspondence from you. As far as this INEC is concerned, they don't recognize ADC.
We are going to take them up on that. They were supposed to be, the law asked them, the law demanded of them to be at the ADC congresses and convention. But they violated it. It's criminal. It's criminal.
But INEC is relying on the court.
They're relying on what? What the law says is that the party should notify them of the dates, which we did, 21 days notice. That is what the law says. So I said, you must go there and see what they are doing. But they didn't come. That is criminal.
No, but what INEC is saying is that based on one of your members taking them to court, and then the court
it has nothing to do with it. INEC is just being mischievous. Amukuton is just, it's painful. Amukuton knows all of these things. I think he succumbed to the pressure of the people that appointed him. I don't envy him at all. But he should have done better. He should have stood on the side of Nigerians. He should have stood on the oath of office he took. He should have stood on the oath of law. On the side of law, yeah.
Now, some political parties at the event, Labour Party, Accord Party, in fact, a friend of mine in People's Redemption Party, PRP, and a few others are saying they are not a party to that communiqué and all of that. They are denouncing it. In fact, they are threatening to take legal actions against whoever signed on their behalf and all of that. What do you say to this?
I'm not aware of this. I'm just hearing this in any case. Party is not considering moving to PRP or any party now. We are going to see to the end of this. We are going on with this. You see, we are waiting for Supreme Court, to tell the Nigerians whether they want to deepen our democracy or they want to help in destroying it. Because these are clear cases. It's just for them to make that pronouncement. There are so many authorities that are of Supreme Court themselves that our lawyers have cited. Apart from the popular and everybody, there are so many authorities from the Supreme Court. We want to see whether they will deviate from these authorities that they themselves made. Apart from, whatever is an internal affairs, there are so many authorities. So we are waiting. Who does not know? Even now, a layman knows what status quo antebellum meant. Even if they are reviving us, so that means David Mark should be back to his position. So we are waiting. We are waiting.
Apart from that, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike controls a more popular, more robust faction. He's in charge of the Wadata House headquarters of the PDP. They are in charge. So technically, they're actually the real PDP, and the faction that Seyi Makinde represents, probably can be called, a shadow, faction. But where I'm going is that if Wike and his faction of the PDP presents a presidential candidate and all of that, and then you also present one in the merger and all of that, but then, how does this play out? Make it make sense to
okay, let me tell you, this is part of the lawlessness we are witnessing under APC administration. The appeal judgment are recognized. First, let me say, he doesn't control the robust part of it. How many governors does he have? How many governors? Always say he's the governor.
But he's controlling the headquarters.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a building. If the law says so, that's where they will vacate the place. It's just that it doesn't signal authority. Let me
does not have any governor again.
Let me clear that. It doesn't confer any authority. Office is office. When you have factions, somebody say we're in charge of the office. It doesn't confer. So what I'm trying to say is that the appeal court ruling or judgment is appealed at the Supreme Court. Again, Abi? So why can't they wait before they move into secretariat? That is lawlessness. If the appeal court judgment had gone the way of Stanley Muturaki, till today, those barbed wire, those police will still be there. Wike will not allow them to access the place. But of course, because he's working with the APC government, he can do anything. The following day, they start painting, they move all the barbed wire, remove the security. That is the lawlessness we are talking about. So now, but I'm not expecting them, because I don't think anybody that they throw up as presidential candidate is just a fluke. It has no meaning. Wike had already said he was going to support President Tinubu. And it means that every other people that are around him, that will just be just a gimmick, just a facade to say, I don't even see them doing that. And if they do, the person will resign, might probably resign a few days to the election, that we are supporting President Tinubu. That's what you should expect.
We're not Nostradamus, so we can't know.
That's what you should expect.
Okay. Governor Seyi Makinde gave perhaps, the most significant or most powerful speech at the Ibadan Summit. And he's the only sitting governor, because his counterpart in Bauchi, Bala Mohammed, is neither here nor there. You don't know where he belongs. So the question is, Dimeji, what is Seyi Makinde's, what does he stand to benefit from? What's his game plan? He wants to be presidential candidate, because many are crying that the South needs to complete their 8 years, since Tinubu is about to complete 4 years, so this must still remain. That's some opinion. Is that what Seyi Makinde is working towards, or he's fighting for VP? What's the game plan? What do you think? Seyi Makinde is
I think he's the only one who can explain that to the people. Okay. I can't speak for him. I don't know his mindset. But I want to believe that he has seen the light. He was in the darkness before. He allowed Wike and others to lead him into darkness. Governor Seyi Makinde I think he has seen the light now. So let us allow him to ventilate, to enjoy the light now. And let us see what he wants to do. He's the only one who can say what he wants to do. But what I meant by seeing the light is that I think he must have realized that, no, this thing is going to work. It's not going to work the way we are doing it. We need to rescue this country. Perhaps he may have been hit by that reality that, no, the country cannot continue to go this way. Let us join this progressive element. Let's see what we can do to rescue this country.
Okay. What do you think? I mean, before I even go to the next point, many informed commentariat, took a very dim view of Seyi Makinde after the G5, all the drama with the G5, Nyesom Wike and all of that scuttled the PDP's chances 2023. Are you saying with the principled stand he's taken recently to say no, not everybody must be in APC, and that he will not be a part of those who want to ensure there is only one party without opposition in Nigeria? Has he redeemed himself somewhat? Do you think so?
Well, it depends on how people are seeing him. Like I said, I think he may have seen the light now. He's allowed in policy. You can say, oh, I'm here today, but today, I don't think that I'm here. Or I said this thing yesterday. Because all that to me, all what he's doing now what it meant to me is that, okay, this southern zoning may eventually not work. Nigeria is in total terrible shape. So it has defeated it. So, and that's why for me, I've always told anybody who cares to listen that, don't bring zoning to me. I won't buy it. Okay, Mr. Wale, today, let us talk about this. Each time I tell you that those who are talking about zoning is just to service selfish interest. It's a gimmick, it's a political gimmick to service selfish interest. And I can define it for you. So this call for zoning is among few elites who wanted one position or the other. Tell me a day that you have seen a protest on the street of Abuja or anywhere in the country that the protest was to advance the call for zoning. Tell me if you have seen it before. If you see any protest, it's against hunger, poverty, insecurity, everything terrible, negative this country has provided. No single person. So when they say Nigerians are staying zoning, I say, forget about, don't tell us that, don't put that poo-woos on our eyes. Nobody is not the priority of Nigerians. Nigerians wanted good governance. They want They want power. They want 24 power. They want good healthcare system. They want better education that this government has not been able to provide. So nobody should come and be telling me the story of zoning here. It makes no sense to me. I would rather go for merit, capacity, and experience. And anybody that you see that wants to contest for presidency, ADC, they have it in abundance. Do you want to tell me that Peter Obi didn't do well in Anambra? Peter Obi didn't recklessly collect debt. Yet he built schools. He built roads. He brought private investment to Anambra State. He knows sin of this world, all these vehicles and all that. Do you want to tell me that El-Rufai did not do well when he was in FCT? In 1 year, he computerized the entire land administration. He returned Abuja to the original, what do we usually call it? Master plan. See what he did in Kaduna? He cut off terrible wastages. Remove all the bad teachers, bring in new teachers, enroll students. Do you want to tell me that Kwakwanso did not do well in Kano? The school feeding, he started it. School uniform for primary to secondary school free. He started it. He built universities. Do you want to tell me that Tambua didn't do well in Sokoto? See the revolution in healthcare system, in primary healthcare system. Today they don't have all those terrible diseases they have in that place again. He invested in schools, in education. Do you want to tell me that David Mark did not do well? Who saved us from impending, from crisis that would have consumed this country? Doctrine of necessity, experience. He did that. Do you want to tell me Atiku did not do well? A former vice president, chairman of Council of Privatization, National Economic Council. It was his time that we had the highest GDP growth in the history of this country. Nobody has been able to match it. GSM revolution, created an institution that brought about jobs. So what are we talking about? Do you want to tell me that Ralph Aregbesola did not do well? The OES of this world that brought about 25,000 new jobs? Before you or do you want to tell me Amechi did not work? Look at model primary and secondary school, revolutionize them, get new teachers, spend so much money on, invested massively on education and healthcare system and infrastructure in Rivers State. So what do you want to tell me?
Okay, Dimeji, you're so passionate about this gentleman. Some would differ. Even last week, the president, Bola Tinubu, was talking about one of them, he said one of them, their leader, he was the chairman of a privatization council, and they privatized.
Forget about him. What did he do in Lagos?
He
only did 2 projects in Lagos. He got the road and the Millennium School that he built for 5 billion in Lagos throughout 8 years. Fashola came to rescue and cover his shame.
All the other states in Nigeria are going to Lagos to copy their blueprints on revenue.
Not under Tinubu, it was under Fashola. Fashola came and revolutionized everything. Fashola performed better, far better than Tinubu.
The story out there is that Tinubu is the builder of Lagos. Are you saying
he didn't build nothing? I just told you the 2 projects he did. Go and check it out. He built this Abaronjia Road, this place they call Governor's Road. How many kilometers? He built that. Then he went to build 1 millennium school, I think in Ogba or Ogudu, for 5 billion. What else?
One of his biggest accomplishments as governor of Lagos is that he increased the revenue from maybe 500
at the expense of the people, at the expense, and to the benefit of their pocket.
Why?
Was what Lagos got? Did Lagos get? Is it commensurate to what they got? Please don't let us do this. Don't let us do this.
Something curious that I observed, and that's why I'm interested in this Seyi Makinde being a part of this coalition. It must be a good fortune, of sorts. Because if you recall, when you wanted to have that convention of last week, it was difficult getting a venue. Suddenly, information, petered out that some states, even before election campaign has begun, some states already said they will not allow campaigns in their states.
We will see how far they can go with that.
How do you respond to this?
No.
Hold on, Dimeji. How did we come to the point in this country where a state is saying foreclosing campaigns?
This is what we have been. This is what we have been saying. An intolerant ruling government. If you are so sure you have done well, if you are so sure Nigerians are behind you, why are you mussing up opposition this much? That is the question. Nigeria now understand the fact that they are worse off than they were 3 years ago, and they are voicing it every day. And that's why you see them doing all of this. Wike is used to doing that. Even in 2023 election, he didn't allow Atiku to campaign in Port Harcourt. They are used to doing that. So we will see. We will campaign. Even if they stop us, Nigerians will campaign in their homes. They will tell them that they are going to destroy themselves more. And that is why, for me, I'm just hoping, I'm just praying that Supreme Court will save our democracy. If they should give any other judgment outside creating enabling space for the opposition, they have added to the woes of the APC. And I tell you, Tinubu will not return. You will see. Let them do it.
Okay, you already touched on it, so let's go there. If the Supreme Court does not deliver
They should save our
a
democracy.
verdict that favors the ADC as against the faction of Nafi Bala,
That favors democracy.
Yeah, of course. What's next? What next?
No, we have leaders that will take a decision on that. They have not briefed me on what is next, but I'm sure they are not sleeping. And they will tell us, they will tell Nigerians and the party members alike what is the next move.
Okay, some political strategists, that I listen to, and I respect them a lot, they told me over the weekend that this Ibadan Summit, the declaration that they will fill the single ticket, is a masterstroke, is a political genius. And I said, how? That what they've done now is to leave the people in the APC scrambling for what to do. When you're chasing a rat, and then suddenly you see 4 or 5, then you don't know which one to chase. So as it is now, that's what this person explained to me. Someone I respect highly. He said, any of the parties in the coalition can actually field, they can use the name. So what APC would have to do to come out clearly and scatter all of them, since they like to use that word. Because if they scatter the ADC, the others are available. How do you read that?
No, I think I spoke with someone about this too. NMPP is having problems. They have created a problem for it. They have created a problem for PDP. They are creating for ADC now.
Labour Party?
And Labour that one is just a trap. Now anybody who goes there is just running into a trap. Is it? I laughed this morning when I saw Obi Kwakwanso have been invited by NCP to come around on their this new party, NDP or NCP, and this Siraki Diskin promoted
NDP,
Siraki Diskin and Faleke party. You understand? You just go there at your own peril. So we know all those behind it. So for me, I said, if you feel you know how to dribble, at some point you dribble yourself. That's what is happening to this government. They have dribbled themselves to a point that I don't think they'll be able to have leg to play again. So we'll see how all of this will play out. And the parties in the coalition are strong. The individuals that are driving it are very strong. They have their what do you call it? They have their share of the society. Atiku has, Tambuwa has, and for me, the best calculation is Atiku Obi. And then because now that Kwankwanso has joined, that's almost about 15 million votes. In the last election, President Tinubu only had about 8 million votes. So, and I don't think that 8 million is still there. That's why they're using this coercive power to make sure that ADC does not see the light of the day. So we'll see. I'm
surprised that you said the president does not have 8 million votes.
He cannot be there.
Then he didn't have, maybe he had only 2 or 3 governors. So, okay, no, APC had a lot of. But now, he has 32 or 34 governors. And then the city boys are there, big boys, that control the street.
Who are the city boys?
The city boys are there. City boy movement.
I don't even know any city boys.
The senators are there.
I don't even know any city boy in the southwest. Maybe in Lagos. No, they are not. I don't know them in Ogun State. I don't know them in Osun. I don't know them in Oyo. So which city boys?
You may not know them, but they are there.
Where are they? No. We should know them now. At this time, we should know them now.
But they are southerners, the Obi Kubanas of this world, the Kubana chief priest of this world.
How many voters will
money of
Obi
this world
Kubana bring? They are going to use the money, Abi, to do.
It's about money. There's hunger in the land.
Oh yeah, no. Let's wait and see.
But speaking seriously, Dimeji, in the villa right now, as we speak here, over the weekend, they watched this event. They watched it with rapt attention, and they watched Atiku speak. Kwankwanso spoke. Obi spoke. Makinde spoke. How scared, how afraid are they? And why are they afraid?
That is the question now. They are afraid because they know they have failed. They are afraid because they know Nigerians are not with them. They know they have disappointed Nigerians. They know they have even disappointed our foreign partners, our foreign friends. They know. But they know they have failed. And there's no time for them for any remedy. Look at security. I'm ashamed at the northern governors. Do you know why? Your people are being slaughtered on a daily basis, and you are still clapping for the man at the end of the affairs who can't stop the killings of your people. The northern governors should be ashamed of themselves. Because of you, you will live there one day. All of this will come back to them. Obasanjo has said it, you don't reinforce failure. And I share in that school of thought. This is the failure. We will not reinforce it. We will not reinforce it. It's not because he's my brother. I hate those who say, because he's our brother. That is not it. You are not the only one in this country. Other people are feeling the heat of the bad leadership of your brother. So say the truth. Because when others are doing, you are shouting.
Okay, let me be direct with you. Former Vice President Atiku has run 5 times. Peter Obi did very well 2023, had a good showing. Nobody gave him that chance, but he did very well. Got 6 million votes. Kwankwaso built a formidable institution around himself.
Yes. Give it to him.
Exactly, did very well.
Give it to him.
Now, Rotimi Amaechi also is positioning himself, touting his accomplishments while he was governor and even as minister. He built railways and all of that. And I like Rotimi Amaechi. He says all the time that nobody can accuse him of any corruption baggage and all of that. But the question is this. Which of these men do you think has the temperament to step down and say, okay, you go, and I'll still support you, I'll back you up, I will not play the role of a spoiler? Which of them?
Honestly, I don't know.
Even your man, Atiku, that you are so close.
I don't know their mind. Atiku has made it abundantly clear that he's ready for anyone.
Okay.
If it's going to be consensus, there'll be procedure for consensus. If he gets it, fine. If he does not get it, life continues. He will support whoever. If it's going to be direct primaries, let's go. He's even prefer direct, but I think he even prefer the election so that we will know this is what Tinubu is running away from. So I don't know. Like I said, Atiku has made a commitment. What's his name? Former governor of Rivers, Rotimi Amaechi, has equally made a commitment. I'm waiting to hear the commitment of Mr. Peter Obi. And I think he needs to talk to his people, because I noticed a trend, and I'm surprised that we are going back to that again. For some times, it has gone down, but now we are going back to that place. And I want to send this message to the supporters of Mr. Peter Obi. The earlier they realize that this is not about Mr. Peter Obi, it's about the country, the better for them. His Excellency Atiku Abubakar appeared on Arise Television a few days ago, and he spoke his mind to the world, to Nigerians, and said, I'm going to run. I'm not stepping down for anybody. The first thing they did was to twist it and be saying, Atiku has stepped down for Peter Obi. That does not even... But to now again mount sustained attack on the person of Atiku Abubakar is unheard of. It's unacceptable. It is. Because Atiku and Peter Obi today are members of the opposition. You kept attacking the person of Atiku Abubakar as if he was Tinubu. Energies that should have been channeled on Tinubu so that even if your person emerges, it will be seamless, it will be easier for you. And if Atiku wins, it will be easier and seamless for the opposition. But they maintain a sustained attack on Atiku, not even any other person. Why is that? We don't need this negative energy. And I'm calling on Mr. Peter Obi to talk to his people. Because even if he gets the ticket of the party, he's going to work against him with what these people are doing.
Two things flow from what you just said now. Mr. Ayodele Fayose, former governor of Ekiti State, has consistently maintained that the only life, I'm using his word, not mine, the only life in opposition parties is Mr. Peter Obi.
Forget about that noise maker.
No, hold on,
please.
hold on, Dimeji.
I just dismiss it.
Hold on, Dimeji.
He's a noise maker. I repeat, Fayose is a noise maker. I don't agree with him. He knows he's being used by APC to drive this. These are the kind of narrative they drove in the Four Sisters. ADC will not survive in 3 months. It was this Fayose. Okay, give them 6 months. It was this Fayose. Now, we can never see Obi and Atiku sit down together and Kwankwaso. So now they have sat together. Is this Fayose? He's a noise maker as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to glorify him.
But anyway, why is this pushing this Peter Obi narrative?
It's being sponsored by, because they know that Atiku will defeat them. It's the fear of Atiku Abubakar. Let's be honest here. This is the reality.
Okay. Second.
It's the fear of Atiku. And they need to drive that, to wind the head of Peter Obi himself and his people to be believing that he can do it. The same thing they did in 2023. Obi should know better now.
Okay. Why? Because
why didn't he leave APC and support Peter Obi and campaign for Peter Obi and go and join Peter Obi in his drive? Why didn't he do that if he's so sure of what he's saying?
Why are the supporters of Mr. Peter Obi? They did a song. They released a song. They composed a song that I heard this morning. Appealing, let me use the word appealing to Excellency Atiku Abubakar to step down. That Atiku's time has passed. He should step down for Peter Obi. And then Atiku's people, the articulators, also did their own song, countering them. Does this augur well for?
This is exactly what we are saying. This is what they do. This is what they do every time. And the articulate people are the most resilient people in all of this journey. If they had gone force for force with what the obedience are doing, the whole of this thing would have scattered. I tell you, they are not as much as the supporter of Atiku Abubakar. All of these that are doing this thing are from the southern part of Nigeria, not even from the north. And Atiku has sizable number of supporters from the south. I don't even want to talk of the north. We know ourselves, and of course we know the real obedience. So as far as I'm concerned, that's what I just mentioned. Why this sustained attack? Why do you have to appeal to somebody who has an ambition? Why can't Peter Obi stand down for Atiku that brought him back to national political limelight when everybody has almost forgotten that he was a governor, a former governor? Why can't they say, no? That's why I always say that it's because there's no IOU in politics. If there was IOU in politics, Peter Obi would not be saying he wants to run against Atiku today. So why can't they tell him, Oga, pay this man back? He has done you a favor. Support him even if he won't. Give him your terms and support him. The very best pathway to Southeast presidency is Atiku Abubakar. No Southerner can defeat Tinubu. I keep maintaining it. Because we have seen it in history. Tinubu should have gone against Jonathan in 2014. If it was that easy. But he doesn't like Buhari, but he wants to bring Buhari to come and face Tinubu.
How do you respond to those who are claiming that it is the South has 4 more years? Because there's this unwritten, hold on, DBG, though it's not in our laws, but there's this gentleman's agreement that power would rotate between the North and the South. Buhari did 8 years. Dimeji, you are from the South just like myself. Is it fair that after the North has done 8 years under Buhari, then after 3 years or 4 years of Tinubu, then the power rotates back to the North?
Okay, you are talking about, you just mentioned fair. Where's the fairness? By the time Tinubu won't pass these 4 years, by the time he finishes 4 years and we send it back to Lagos, South would have done 20 years. And North would have only done 10 years. So where's the fairness they are talking about? Where's the fairness they are talking about? No, where's the fairness? A region has done 20 years, another region has only done 10 years, and you are talking about fairness and justice. Where is it? I ask. And like I told you, I don't buy this idea of zoning. It doesn't work for me. But Obasanjo was God president for 8 years. He couldn't fix Lagos, Abeokuta, Songo Road. If zoning has been that helpful, Bayelsa today would have been Paris of Africa, Paris of Nigeria, or Dubai of Nigeria, with President Jonathan as the president.
Okay, Dimeji, I want you to speak to the followers, the youths especially, of both former VP Atiku, the articulators, and the obedience. Can you speak to them that this schism, this war of attrition, would not augur well for this?
That's why I said we don't need this. It's a negative energy, especially from the obedience.
No, even the articulators.
Yes, because they react when it was becoming too much. That's why you saw them reacting. You will never see a Atiku supporter throw this thing first. It's the obedient that has consistently sustained this attack on Atiku Abubakar. As if Atiku was President Tinubu that is failing us is there. And you are misplacing your priority. And you are asking that even Mr. Peter Obi was sending a mystery to Atiku to step down for him. Who does that? It's about ambition. And the man said, I am running. So in any case, what is the problem? As an 80-year-old man, you are a 40-year-old man, and I said, let's go on 100-meter dash. Why are you afraid? At least they are saying Atiku is old. Why is Peter Obi and his people, people are afraid for their boss to be on the 100% dash with against Atiku Abubakar?
Mr. Dimeji,
yes.
I like your passion as usual, but we've seen opposition, summits before, 2010, 2014, 2018. Some were okay, they succeeded, some did not. Most did not actually. What makes the Ibadan 2026 political summit of opposition parties? What makes it different? Why do you think it has any chances of, success, considering all this, internal schisms, crises I've highlighted?
Whatever you see happening now, moving towards election, are normal in politics. Of course, you don't expect Tinubu to just sit down and let people push him out. But Nigerians will push him out. It's not Atiku and all this, it's the Nigerian people that will push him out because they've not had a very good experience with his government. So what makes this one better is because of the mood of the nation right now. The mood of the country is such a bad one. Nigerians are dejected. They are not happy. It's the same cries all over. So, and then I think Nigerians have now seen reason why they have to take these people seriously. If you know the mileage, the ADC, the coalition have garnered since after they know, they monitor. That's why I see them fidgeting and attacking the summit and some of the things that were like what Makinde said and all. So this one is going to work because it has now provided, it has given Nigeria we can actually trust these people. They can do this. Even internationally, there have been reaction about, okay, I think Nigerian opposition are more serious than ever now. And there are more other things that will come in the next couple of days that will tell Nigerians that, that thing that the APC is explaining, they are not going to get it. Because ADC is going to work with Nigerians. And together with Nigerians, we are going to defeat them.
Okay. Now, as we wind down, President Tinubu last week said at the commission of the NRS headquarters building, said anyone who cannot see his administration's achievements needs a pair of eyeglasses. What do you say to that? Are you one of those who say he has not achieved anything?
I don't know the achievement they are branding. Is it in security? Okay, what is the state of our security now?
But the dollar is stable.
What is the state of our?
The dollar is stable.
What is the state of our economy? Is it just about?
Yeah, they brought the inflation rate.
How to what?
To 15 point something.
Because that book that the Bureau of Statistics roll out is that commensurate with reality on ground? What are we talking about? They are still killing people as a few days ago in some part of the country. So what are we saying? What are we saying? The fuel is still over 1,000 naira per liter. What are we talking about? This government has failed and abysmally too.
Let's talk about insecurity. That you and I like the fact that you went there. Let's just put numbers, to the issue of insecurity. Just in the last 30 days alone, more than 120 people have reportedly been killed in the northwest of Nigeria. We heard that 49 villagers were massacred in Kebbi, in Kwara, in Benue, in Plateau. As we sit down here speaking, Dimeji, there are about 417 Nigerians in captivity.
In captivity, yes.
And the terrorists display them on national TV, threatening to kill them if their demands are not met.
Let me add.
Hold on, Dimeji. We're now number 4th on the terrorism index.
Yes.
Global terrorism index, in 2026. So, has the government done well? Has it abandoned the people?
And that you should be asking Mr. President, as anybody who has not seen the achievement should go and get a pair of eyeglasses now. Yorùbá sọ pé alára ló máa ń gbéraga, but why tó ń gbéraga lórí òfo? Please, you can help me translate it so that people can hear. Did you notice that we are losing our finest in Nigeria army?
In the military?
At the prime of their career, brigadier general, slaughtered, killed. Not to even talk of the rank and files that are being slaughtered on a daily basis, and they are hiding it from us. So what achievement? What achievement? I bought fuel 1,380 this morning. What achievement? I had to be off grid to be able to have power in my house. What achievement? If I'm not using that, I'm buying diesel. What achievement? At exorbitant rate. They are happy, they are celebrating bag of rice from 120 to 80,000 to 50-something thousand. Is that how much we used to buy it in the last 4 years? And they are celebrating that. And they will roll out textbook statistics to us. And they are calling that achievement. Or maybe Coastal Road is an achievement they're building. Maybe that's an achievement to them. The project they cannot finish even if they use 12 years in government. So what are we talking about?
Okay, final question. 744 repentant, in inverted commas, Boko Haram fighters were released back into the Nigerian society, I think last week, under the Operation Safe Corridor initiative. The government said they were de-radicalized and then reintegrated. People who took up arms against the state, people who killed people, slaughtered people, ransacked villages, committed heinous crimes. What do you think about this in less than 1 minute or two? If you can.
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make any sense to me because you're only reinforcing criminality. Mm-hmm. That's where I see it. A lot of people will believe that thing is good, is a good venture to make money, to do all sort of stuff. You are encouraging them to go into crime now. Mm. You are encouraging them more to go into crime.
Some are comparing it to the amnesty program granted to Niger Delta militants.
And how much of Niger Delta militants, of all this, though this is not the first time they are doing this thing they just did. A few years ago, they did
it's been going on.
So why are we having increase in banditry and kidnapping? You just mentioned that we're fourth in global terrorism index, and I'm happy that ADC has been able to come up with a robust plan for this country, a robust plan that will reset Nigeria. In the security policy, let me just address that. In the security policy of ADC, it talked about this. It said that we're now number 4. So how do you fight it? You don't fight terrorism alone. You fight it with your neighbor. You take care of the region. But because Nigeria does not have the grip on the region again, that's why you see this thing escalating this way. So what ADC government is going to do differently is to rein in our neighbors, control the region as it used to be, so that we can fight terrorism successfully.
Are you going to make efforts to bring in the likes of Omoyele already, SDP?
He was invited to Ibadan, but he came out and said he ignored it. He didn't want to because it's rhetorics now. This student union politics, so it doesn't add up for me. Yeah.
Mr. Oladimaji, nice having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure we'll see you soon again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.